I welcome you all in fourth session of your class. In last session, we have seen few things about standing waves, what is also known as a stationary wave. We have seen that when two waves of same amplitude, wavelength, frequency, time period, having same path but exactly traveling in opposite direction. Suppose this one is traveling in positive x direction, this one is traveling in negative x direction. When these two waves superimpose on one another, the resultant obtained in this situation is a standing wave. We have seen that this standing waves is different than the usual progressive wave in many sense. We have seen that in standing waves, instead of crest and troughs, compression and rarefactions, what we are getting are the loops. This one is one loop, this one is another loop, this one is next loop, and in this way, in standing wave, we are getting loops. The points where there is minimum displacement of particle, rather we can say there is no displacement of particle, no displacement particle, these points are known as nodes. Whereas the points where there is maximum displacement of particle, these points are known as antinodes. And in this way, in case of standing waves, what we are getting are the successive nodes, antinodes, nodes, antinodes, nodes, antinodes, and so on. The wavelength of the standing wave, the time period of the standing wave is same as that of the original waves, by which we are actually getting the standing wave. The wavelength and time period of standing wave is same as that of the original wave. So, if this one is the wavelength of standing wave, we can say the length of one loop is lambda by 2, the length of next loop is lambda by 2, and so on. And thus we can say that the distance between two successive nodes is lambda by 2. The distance between two successive antinodes is again lambda by 2. The distance between node and successive antinode, or antinode and successive node, it is equals to lambda by 4. The distance between node and successive antinode is nothing but lambda by 4. We have seen that when a progressive wave is expressed like A sin omega t minus kx or A sin omega t plus kx, a standing wave is represented like this: 2A cos kx sin omega t, where we can see this displacement term, x term, and time t term, they are not in the same bracket, but they are now separated in these two forms, unlike to that of the progressive wave. Sometimes if you do Google search for standing wave, you will find that an equation for standing wave is also written as 2a sine kx cos omega t. So this is different, this is different. So what is the difference? The difference arises because originally what we have considered the two waves as a sine omega t minus kx. You can also consider the expression as y1 equals to a sine kx minus omega t as one wave and y2 equals to a sine kx plus omega t as another wave. You can also write down the equation of wave like this. Now you may ask, what is the difference between this type of wave and this type of wave? The thing is only about minus sine theta is equals to sine of minus theta is equals to sine of theta plus pi. That means we can say this wave as well as this wave, both of these waves represent a wave traveling along positive x-axis. This one is also traveling along positive x-axis. This one is also traveling along positive x-axis, but there is a phase difference of pi between these two waves. Rest of the things are just same. Only the thing is that these two waves differ from one another by phase difference pi. And in this way, if you use this expression, you will get the expression for standing wave as 2a sine kx cos omega t. In both of the expressions, the kx term and omega t term, these two terms are separated, and so we can say standing waves are not as like the progressive wave. Not only the equation part, but there are various aspects. Like in progressive wave, the amplitude of wave is same, whereas in case of standing wave, the amplitude varies. Like this particle vibrate to its mean position with this much of amplitude. This particle vibrate with this much of amplitude about its mean position. This particle vibrate in this amplitude and like this. So each particle perform vibration along its mean position, where the amplitude varies particle to particle. In case of progressive wave, each neighboring particle is having different phase, whereas in case of standing wave, all particles in a loop are having same phase. All particles in a loop are having same phase, whereas particles in successive loop are having phase exactly opposite to the previous loop. All particles are having same phase means what? Consider these are the particles which are vibrating about its mean position. All particles achieve its amplitude in the same sense. Like all particles move upward at a time, while in the next loop all particles approach to downward position. To the next loop all particles are approaching to the upward position, and like this all successive loops are having different or opposite phase. Phase difference equals to pi between all particles of loop. Thus phase of standing wave varies loop to loop. A progressive wave carry energy from one location to another location. It is known for its energy transfer. whereas the standing waves are known for the storage of energy. As we are saying that these particles are not at all performing to and fro motion, forward and backward motion, rather they are performing just the vibrations about its mean position. So the standing waves do not propagate energy, but they are known for holding the energy. So these are the points by which a standing wave, stationary wave, is different as compared to a progressive wave. Now here we have to consider the applications of standing wave. We have to take into account two cases. One is the vibrations in a stretched string, and another we have to study vibrations in air column. So we first consider the case of stretched string, vibrations in a stretched string. So let us consider a stretched string of some material with its moment of inertia, that is mass per unit length, equals to m. Let us say that the length of this stretched string is small l. Now the situation is same as that of the sonometer experiment you have performed. Now if I plugged somewhere here to this string, stretched string, what we will observe? We observe certain vibrations will be generated in this string. We have seen previously that the transverse wave will generate when we give a jerk to the string. Similarly, a transverse wave will be generated if we give a jerk to this string. Now these are the rigid points, fixed points, from where this transverse wave that has been generated get reflected back. That means what we are getting? We are getting two waves traveling, same waves, transverse waves, traveling along the same path, having same frequency, wavelength, time period, but traveling exactly in opposite direction. As a result of which, due to the superposition of these two waves, what we will get is the standing wave. Now in case of a stretched string, as these 2 points are fixed one, it is sure that nodes are going to be formed to this fixed point. So as there are nodes in between, there will be antinode also. So the very first case by which a string can vibrate is like this. It will form one loop. Instead of one loop, the situation will be like the string may form two loops also, such that the fixed points are again acting as nodes. It is also possible that 3 loops will be generated over the length of the string when we give some jerk to the string as a result of the formation of standing waves. And in this way, various loops will be generated in this stretched string. These are known as the modes of vibrations of a stretched string. You can perform this experiment at your home also. You can take a rope, ask your family member to hold the rope in the hand, keep it fixed, and just give a jerk to the rope from this point. What you will observe is that at certain wavelength, at certain point, you will observe a standing wave like this. If you go on changing the frequency, or if you go on changing the wavelength, you will observe various loops formed in your stretched rope. You can do this experiment at your home and see at how much maximum loops you will obtain by your own at your home. I heard that maximum 16 loops have been obtained by someone. So you can try at your home and see how much maximum loops you will observe when you give a jerk to this stretched string. Now let us consider the first case, say A, where one loop has been formed over the length of the string. That means I can write down the length of the string equals to length of one loop is lambda by 2. So I can write down lambda is equals to 2L. But I know velocity of a wave is product of wavelength and its frequency. So I can write down velocity upon frequency of a wave generated in this case is equals to 2L, or frequency of wave is equals to velocity upon 2L. But we have seen the expression for velocity of transverse wave, velocity of a transverse wave generated on a string, which is related to the tension in the string and is related to the moment of inertia, that is mass per unit length of the string. So substituting this expression for velocity here, we will get the expression for frequency by which you can generate one loop in this stretched string as 1 upon 2L in under the root of tension in the string upon moment of inertia m, where this m is nothing but the moment of inertia. So this is the expression for frequency by which you can generate one loop over a stretched string. So we called it as nu one and is known as the fundamental frequency of vibration. It is also known as the first harmonics. It is also known as the first harmonics. Now instead of one loop, if we consider second case wherein two loops have been formed over this length L. So as two loops have been formed, we can say L is equals to twice lambda by 2, or lambda is nothing but L. So we can write down velocity upon nu equals to L, which implies that this frequency of vibration of string for 2 loops is equals to 1 by L, and substituting the expression for V, I can write down it as under the root of T by M, which I can write down as 2 upon 2L divided by T by M, which is nothing but 2 times nu 1 is the value of nu 2, that is the frequency by which a stretched string will vibrate such that 2 loops will be formed over its length, which is nothing but twice the fundamental frequency. And this frequency is known as second harmonics, or it is known as first overtone. It is known as second harmonics or first overtone. Likewise, for the third case, you will obtain the expression for frequency nu 3 to be equals to thrice nu 1, which is known as third harmonics, or it is also known as the second overtone. So one thing that you should know is that all harmonics are overtone, but not all overtones are harmonics. And in this way, you can obtain the expression for higher frequencies by which a stretched string can vibrate as a standing wave. And what you will notice is that nu 1 is to nu 2 is to nu 3 is equals to 1 is to 2 is to 3, and so on for vibrations, for various modes of vibrations in a stretched string. In a stretched string. So in this way, you can say all harmonics are present for the stretched string. So we have obtained the expression for frequency by which a stretched string can vibrate. Now, as we have obtained the expression for frequency nu 1 to be equals to 1 upon 2L under the root of T by M, this equation gives rise to various laws of vibrations in a string. So which are these laws? The first one is the law of length. Law of length says that if tension in the string is constant and moment of inertia of the string is constant, then in that case frequency and length of the string remain constant. so that we can write down nu1 L1 equals to nu2 L2. This is the law of length. The next law is the law of tension, which you can guess. If you keep moment of inertia and length of the string constant, then what you will observe is that frequency of vibration of the string is directly proportional to root of tension in the string, so that you can write down nu1 upon nu2 to be equals to root of T1 upon T2. Which is known as the law of tension. The third law is the law of inertia. The law of inertia you can guess well, which says that if length of the string is constant, tension in the string is constant, then in that case the frequency of vibration is inversely proportional to root of its moment of inertia, or you can say the product of nu1 root m1 equals to nu2 root m2. This remain constant. This is all about the vibration over a stretched string. In next session, we will discuss the vibrations that will be generated due to the formation of standing wave in air column. Thank you. Have a nice day.